I feel like it's trying to do two things, and neither one of them are really solid. It's like it goes in to just below the surface, but not enough for me to really get involved in it. Yeah. It's like this premise seems plausible enough, but the execution for me was lacking.
I feel almost exactly like you do. I like the characters. So I thought the point was not to be able to connect with them, to be disturbed by them, to be weirded out by them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I actually love that. Hey, come to our LA live show, man. There's gonna be a lot of girls over there for you to meet, man.
Hey, worked out for you last time.
Yeah, it sure did. Hey, April 27th, man, at the El Portal Theater in Los Angeles. Get there at 8 p.m., man. Gonna be a lot of girls there for the Double Toasted Live in Los Angeles show. Get your tickets now by going to dtmerch.com. You go there, press that banner in the middle of the page. It's gonna take you to x1entertainment.com where you can get your tickets. But we only have about 30-something tickets left. And we still got a couple of weeks before the show. I believe this is going to sell out, so please get your tickets by the way I described to you right now. Let's talk about this movie that already has people divided right here.
Does it?
Yeah, it already got people upset. Yeah, divided. Yeah. Yeah, it's this movie where people talking about, man, where's Tony Stark fighting Abraham Lincoln? And, you know, where's where the Avengers at? Where's,
what the hell?
You know, where's General Lee and all that stuff, you know? They got all factions of cosplayers out there, man. The Civil War reenactors and the Marvel people, man. Ain't my Civil War, goddammit.
I just thought about it. You dress up as Captain America and go to a Civil War reenactment.
Yeah. That is a rerun.
Where's Tony at? Where's bitch ass?
I ain't signing shit.
That man's from the future. But yeah, man, we're talking about Civil War. That's the new A24 movie. And this is a movie where it's sort of slightly the future, maybe a few years in the future, less than 10. And I guess politics have gotten so crazy. The president's gotten so crazy. These people have gotten so divided in America that we have finally had that civil war that everybody was talking about. And this explores, we travel with a group of wartime photojournalists. You know, people just go out and take pictures of war. We follow them and get all the violence and the fighting and the combat from their point of view, while being on the familiar territory of America, you know, the streets that we recognize that at one time, you know, we took for granted it would always be peaceful and nice. Well, now that everything is war torn, like some of the countries that we said that we would never be like. Yeah, but yet here we are. Let's go ahead. A lot of people have been looking forward to this because, I mean, you know, let's just admit it. We are very much politically divided here, and everybody's like, oh shit. Civil War. I know that movie's gonna be on my side. I know they're gonna agree with me. You saw this with us.
Yeah. Right next to your ass.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You were there.
Yeah.
How political is this? Will this divide people even more? More importantly, simply, how is the movie? This is also getting a lot of good buzz and reviews from people out there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer. And I never even saw the trailer for this. It was my first time actually seeing it. Did well, very well at South by Southwest. How will it do here tonight? Let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer and we'll be back with our reviews.
Of America.
So, some people have been hearing about the premise of this movie and they cannot fathom America going at war with each other so much to the point where this concept makes them think that this is science fiction. I've heard some people categorize it as science fiction. And in the movie, you have Texas having an alliance with California, so it might be science fiction.
That is science fiction.
That ain't even science fiction. That's fantasy.
Yeah.
Shit, we might as well be trying to find unicorns and going to Mordor with this shit. You know, that is not happening anytime soon. But that is the case here. One of the things with this movie, we're talking about how political is it? Well, it kind of it's trying to be neutral with its politics. Yes, Texas has aligned with California. We don't know why. All we know is that the president has tried to force himself into a term that he probably did not deserve or tried to take over, and that tore the country up. And now people are trying to not only get America back to where it is, but hey, some people are saying, while we at it, let's go ahead and kill the president. He started all this shit. Hey, if that's what has to happen, then God damn it, let's do it. So I'm gonna start out by saying, we saw this in IMAX, one of those mini maxes, but we saw it in IMAX, and I think on a technical level, this movie is amazing. Every combat scene is well directed, and the big thing that pulled me in with this is the sound.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, holy.
It's loud.
It is loud. See it in the IMAX if you can. The only complaint that I have about that is almost too loud.
It was scared the shit out of me.
Honestly, even at South by Southwest at the Paramount, that was a thing people were saying, like, it was too loud.
Yeah, shit. I felt like I was getting shot at half the time.
Right.
I was in my seat at the time. Stop! But I'd kind of rather have it loud than too low, because
Sure.
I mean more than the visuals here, the sound pulls you in. The sound makes you think you are in the middle of combat. And when you have everything that comes together, the visuals, where this really becomes an amazing war film, is in the third act, when they pull out an all-out attack on the White House. I'm not giving anything away. I'm not telling you what happens with it, but you saw some of it in the trailer. They pretty much go in and they raid the White House, and that right there is up there with some of the greatest war action scenes that I've seen. Man, I'll put it up there with Saving Private Ryan. Something of that nature.
As far as putting you right there in the middle of it.
As far as putting you in the middle of it, and just the direction of it. I mean, this is Alex Garland, who wrote certain movies that you've seen directed by other people, such as 28 Days Later. I don't know what else he directed. I know he wrote 28 Days Later. Yeah, Man. Yeah. So he's working within dystopian or post-apocalyptic futures is nothing new to him. So he brings all of his directing talents and experiences with those kind of things to probably one of the most, I would say, probably the most grandiose scenes of action that I've seen him do. I'm gonna show you a little bit of it right here. And I'm just gonna tell you, regardless of what you think about the movie, you will leave on an adrenaline rush after you watch this. I mean, it's amazing. It blew me away. What makes this so cool too is that you are put in the position of the photojournalist. Kirsten Dunst plays Lee, she's seen so much, not just with Civil War America, but she's just gone to foreign countries and seen some of the most gruesome, extreme forms of violence that she just is callous to everything going on around her. We get into a character in a little bit, but what you saw right there, that's where the money went. Because the rest of the movie is relatively slow compared to what you're probably led to believe with this. Now, whether I think that that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll get to that in a little bit. But, how do you feel about things? How y'all feel about things here?
Yeah, you're right about this, this big third act, but where they spent all the money and led up to everything. It's funny you would bring up Saving Private Ryan, because it's almost a reverse Saving Private Ryan, because with Saving Private Ryan, you had that opening scene, that invasion of D-Day. Yeah. And that's just like, it's mind-blowing, that thing you see, and your heart's pumping. Yeah. And nothing else in the movie measures up to that. Did you think the battle at the end? Battle at the end is close, but it's not what happens in the beginning. And this is one where this happens at the end, but nothing before it comes even close to this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And see, I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a little bit of both. And because, for me, now I know this is been getting rave reviews from people out there, and I'm not even saying that it doesn't live up to those expectations. For some people, it will. I think also for some people, they're going to go in looking at this and thinking that they're going to get pretty much this whole thing where it's an action-fueled Civil War movie set in America. It is a war movie. You're getting war the whole thing, and it's not. like I said, this is not so much about this fictional war that's in the near future than, the American Civil War. Don't be misled. It's not that, okay? This is more about the wartime photojournalists that we see here, and we follow them around. And that's what's so great about that scene, because when you're in scenes like this, like that last act, you're put into the position of being them. And so that's another reason why you feel like you're there. But another thing that's cool with this is that I think that I love the perspective that they took with it, because it makes you question the so-called protagonist over here that we have. I feel like that the protagonists that we have here, they're not good people. I'm not saying that they're evil. I'm not saying that that they're people that you hate. Not at all. What it is though is that these are people, as I said, they've been so hardened by war that they purposely have had to like just bury their emotions to the point where it's almost gone. They don't even have human compassion anymore. Because if they did have human compassion, then they wouldn't get the shot. Right. They'd be too moved by things. And they sit there and they film people about to die. So and it's just and then but what changes that is that once something happens close to them, then all their emotions come out. And I don't know how to feel about that. It feels selfish in a way, but at the same time, I kind of get what they said, job to do this. But there's just something disturbing about that, and it's meant to disturb you. I love that they put that there. So I love what they did with the characters here, as far as making you just feel all these different things about them. And another thing that I loved about it is that you do see small bits of compassion coming out. Lee, Kirsten Dunst's character, she has enough compassion to muster up to where she tries to talk to this young girl named Jessie, played by Kaylee Spaney, where she's like, she just sees her being so eager to have the job that she has. In fact, she sees Lee as a hero, and she's just like, you know what? This girl reminds me of me, and I don't want her to end up like me. Mm-hmm. I know I'm a cold. I don't give a shit about life anymore. I'm tired. I don't want her to be me. It's from a character point of view, I think it's very good. But I'm gonna pass it on again and see what y'all think about that. Did you like the characters here?
So with her character, I did. Which like one? Her. The girl you just showed. The young girl.
Jessie. Yeah.
So at first, I really did enjoy her character, because it's kind of like we're at the start of her journey, and then we're just progressing through. But when her character ended, I was like, man, you. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna say, I don't like that character no more. But that is how I felt about her. But I get it now. But yeah, I'm saying that ending. I ain't gonna say it, but yeah, ending, I ain't like it. I don't know how you felt about it.
No. You know what? This is a movie where I go like, man, it's really effective. But I wasn't that crazy about it. And the thing is, I always felt a certain disconnect with it the entire time, and I kept trying to get into it. Mm-hmm. But as far as the Civil War part, I was like, okay, it's being vague on purpose because it's trying to say it's not what's important, but that is such an important thing it's doing. I was like, there's a lot of this that really doesn't hold up to scrutiny when you think about it. And just even on a visceral level, I mean, starting with the Texas and California, joining alliances. And I was like, there's so much you're not telling me here that doesn't make this come together. But hey, okay, maybe it's a character piece and I need to focus on the characters. And I felt the characters were very thin. As much as it was like, hey, this is this person, this, and they're doing this, I was like, yeah, but not really getting to know them. They just seem thin. And so much of what happens with them felt predictable. And I was like, man, I feel like it's trying to do two things, and neither one of them are really solid. It's like it goes in to just below the surface, but not enough for me to really get involved in it. Yeah. It's like this premise seems plausible enough, but the execution for me was lacking.
I feel almost exactly like you do. I like the characters, so I thought the point was not to be able to connect with them, to be disturbed by them, mm-hmm. to be weirded out by them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I actually love that. Now, my criticism here is that the first half of the movie is just not strong enough for me, because it's called Civil War, and I think the trailer kind of sells it as, something like that. And I get it. It's not that. It's about the photojournalist. in the beginning. It's the war through their eyes, what we're seeing, and how they have to be, pretty much almost inhuman to experience this. And now they got to experience it on home territory. But I wish I could have learned a little bit more. Just a little bit more about this. This shit is called Civil War. It ain't called, crazy the camera. It's called Civil War. I wish we could have explored that a little bit more. It is not being political, and that's smart. I understand that.
No, I get that.
Though this is somewhat I'm sure is inspired by taking shots at the January 6th insurrection. I'm sure they're kind of winking at you about that. But my problem with this is with this. I don't mind them not focusing on the war. I wish we could have learned more about it. Or maybe it's because what they did with the stuff with the photojournalists, during the first half of this movie. I like that we focused on them, but the movie is just mostly what I've seen done before and done better in some other films, and that is just road tripping from one cruel situation to the next, because that's, and sometimes it works out. It's an interesting mix of some other films out there. A lot of times when the movie's at its best, it feels like a combination of Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, and The Road. When is that its best? It also had that, like I said, it had that creepy dystopian feel to it where, it does look weird when you have people fighting in areas that seem familiar to us, things that we've taken for granted. I'm thinking about some of the stuff that happened here that I really thought was crazy. Because I know they had one scene where these people were fighting over an office building. And it's funny seeing them fight soldiers while other people are wearing Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that. So it's, it was weird to see that here. And I thought that was pretty cool. I've seen this over and over again. And again, I've seen it better. Right now, it just seems pretty typical. We're just going to drive down the road, meet some shitty people, hopefully get out of it. And if we do, we're just going to drive just a little bit more until we meet some more shitty people.
And they seem to not have any effect from the last shitty people they met. Okay, well, now we move on to the next thing. And we watching this, getting somewhat of a sense of how this world is, they get in the situations where they're all shocked by it. I was like, how are you shocked and sad? You didn't have any inkling something like this could happen?
Yeah. Like this scene right here. I like this. They're in an office building. They have combat going on. You saw that your boy in this this Hawaiian shirt running, look like he just got off vacation and picked that gun up and went right back to work. But it's just that whole format of we're driving shitty people, dangerous people, disturbing people. We're driving some more shitty people. It seemed predictable to me. That's the only thing right there. So I would just say that I probably enjoyed this more on the acting side of things, because I look at Kirsten Dunst here, and I think this is one of her best roles in a long time.
Absolutely.
She is amazing in this movie. Yeah, I thought she was brilliant in this film. And the thing that's cool with her is that, like I said, she just has to be this person, and she did this very well. She has to be this person that is just tired. She's not only just rid of emotions, but she's tired, and it shows in everything that she's doing. And I thought it was great that, what she did, man. I like some of the other characters in here. I'm beginning to like this actor a lot.
What, Pedro Pascal?
That ain't no Pedro Pascal.
I know it ain't Pedro. He just look like him.
You racist son of a bitch.
No, that's not
He don't look like no Pedro Pascal.
Put up a picture. Like what? Because he's black and got a mustache. He's only looking at the Mandalorian.
Wow, dude.
No, that's
Wagner Moura.
Yeah, he was just. I love this guy. I think I grew to love him just recently. He was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I loved his character in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. I was trying. Like, what did I see him in recently?
He's the
the voice of Death in Puss in Boots.
That's right. He was Death in Puss in Boots. He's great here. The reason why I liked him so much here is because surprisingly, this movie has a sense of humor. This movie has some laughs. I will give it credit for that. There's a scene here with some snipers. You see right here. This one look like a juggalo over here and everything. That scene is tense. But man, there's some great one-liners from these snipers over here. It's some great humor in there, and the movie needs it. So I praise the movie for putting it in and pacing it out at the right time. One of the actors, and I wish I had a picture of him, but I'm gonna bring it up right now because this is actually pretty funny. You think this man messed up with Pedro Pascal right here?
Nah, we ain't gotta bring it back.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring this up right here.
We're never letting that go.
No, hell no. Oh man, what was that? Wow, what was that actor's name, man?
Nah, don't worry about it. You forgot about it.
The light skinned dude.
Oh, Stephen Henderson.
Stephen McKinley Henderson. Let me see here. If y'all don't know who Stephen McKinley Henderson is,
He's like an old Jeffrey Wright.
yeah, he's old Martin. Yeah, he's man. This is one of the biggest. Oh shit, he is like you, Martin. Looking dapper and fine like you, man. He's one of the most recognizable character actors out there right now.
Yeah.
He's in everything. He's just in Dune.
Yeah.
He's just
Well, he
in
wasn't in
Dune.
the second one.
Oh, he's on some shit or something. but he was. Yeah, he was in Dune.
Did he pass away?
No, he did not. I was wrong.
Oh,
I was killing him like Martin kills people.
I was like, damn.
I thought I heard something. I thought I heard something about him dying. I looked it up today just to make sure. He's still alive. He's still very much alive. He's 74 years old, but he's still alive.
Oh, okay.
But what had me laughing was, so my man came out and he said, "Damn, man, James L. Jones was pretty good in that movie." I said, "Boy, now you ain't no guy, James L. Jones." you profiling everybody. Like, sit up here. I'm like, I looked at that. I'm like, am I wrong? I was like, no, I don't like no goddamn James L. Jones over here. He like, Julian, don't do this, man. No,
He's always good in everything.
yeah. No, I really enjoyed James L. Jones and Pedro Pascal in this movie.
They did great.
Great. They did a great job, man.
That's a pick. They did
Man,
great.
Pedro Pascal really is everywhere. No, both those characters were actually really cool, man. They both gave a lot of humor in here, and
Expressed a lot of emotions too.
yeah. And I would say, man, this guy, he actually showed a lot more range in this movie than I've seen him do in a long time. Plus he's the butt of a lot of jokes in the movie. They keep calling him old and old dead weight. And look at the backseat of the old folks' home. And he actually does something pretty cool.
I know, he does some cold bullshit.
He says some badass shit. And I'm tired of people calling me old. I'll show y'all asses old. Yeah, no, he's very good in the movie, man. I would just say this. Watching this movie, man, I enjoyed this more, I believe, on a technical and acting level than I did story level. And watching this, but I do think that the second half picked up for me. We always say that third act was really good, but I'm gonna tell you something. When I'm talking about they just keep running to shitty people and dangerous people. Man, there's one scene, a lot of it I was just kind of like, okay, they're just doing this to be disturbing. The whole war is hell. People are cruel to each other. When you pull the veil away, we do horrible things to each other. It was that kind of message. And it's like, okay, I get it, whatever. It's not really working for me 100%, but I get what you're doing. It didn't really move me a whole lot. For other people, it will. But I'll tell you this, there's this one scene in here. And let me see. And this person is married to Kirsten Dunst. And there's one great scene in here with Jesse Plemons. Now, Jesse Plemons is creepy anyway.
Everything he's in.
Jesse Plemons has been in movies where he's been the hero, and I was still scared of his ass. And he has this is where the movie kind of turned around for me. He has a really intense scene in here, and I thought that was excellently directed. It
works so well.
Yeah. It's now that is it takes me back to some real horrible moments in war movies where I'm like, Jesus, man. Okay, so that's bringing me back down to reality when I'm getting into the action and thinking it's all cool and everything. This was a scene right here where it's just kind of like, wow, people really are shitty, man. And Jesse Plemons is great. He's excellent in that role. So I definitely think that the movie is stronger for me in the second half than in the first half. But I will tell you this, if you're gonna leave a movie, you don't want to leave a movie, on a down note. I left this movie, as I said, on an adrenaline high, from what they did with that attack on the Capitol, and the movies, and I got to give it praise for just doing some things in here, making things disturbing or feeling uneasy that don't even involve people, like it was. I was looking at them like destroying monuments. in Washington. And I was just like, this is something weird about that.
Yeah. What is this a Godzilla movie?
Yeah.
You've seen it a lot in other movies.
Is it Roland Emmerich?
Well, you've seen it in movies where you've seen it done by aliens or, entertainment disaster movies or monsters. When you see it done by, other people in a movie that's supposed to be grounded and and realistic. Yeah, that was disturbing images too. So it's effective. I just wish it had probably centered more on what this war is about, or centered more on what was happening, and not try to take this neutral stance so much. But I get it; they had to. So for me, it's a high matinee.
I think it took such a neutral stance to the point of being vague, to the point of leaving out a lot of the bottom of what would have made it solid. You're right that third act with the assault on Washington, that is explosive and it's super loud. And probably the volume got to me more than anything. But because it didn't do the groundwork of really, giving me a feel of what this was all about, I wasn't sure how to feel about it. I had trouble even attaching myself to the outcome of it. As far as the other part, which is I guess it's supposed to mostly be about the character piece with the journalists. I just had so many questions that kept me from really diving in. And one of the things that was throwing me off is the way it approaches journalism and photojournalism. It's all from the perspective of how war journalists are from previous wars, from Vietnam and World War II and back. But now, they came in hey, we're journalists, we're protected. That's not a thing anymore. It hasn't been a thing for a while. And as far as I got to get this photo, most of the photos we see now are done by people with their cell phones who are on the scene. People don't flock to war photography like they used to. So making this something in the present or even the near future, it just kept throwing me off. I was like, all right, are we saying this is how alternative is this future we're talking about? Because none of this really attaches itself to how we are now, and even down to Wagner Mara. He's not a photographer. He's a reporter, but he's never recording anything. He doesn't even have a tape recorder. He's not writing anything down. Even when he gets to the big interview with the president, it's like, you're not actually recording this. So you're just gonna you might as well just make it up. Why even bother to go there?
That's a good point.
Yeah, it was just so many things where man, I'd like to get into this because I heard so many great things about it, and I can see. And you're right, Corey. I agree with you. Technically, so much of that works, especially that big assault on Washington. But there was so much of what needed to be there, at least for me personally. For me to really be into it, I just kept feeling like I can't sink my teeth into it because you guys haven't done the groundwork. It's like you just tried to stay so far out of it that you didn't make it something solid. But because of the how technically effective it is, I feel like this is more of a low matinee for me.
All right.
Okay, so ever since I was a kid, I actually learned that photojournalists are actually at these wars and these places like that. So it was kind of cool to see it on the screen. I'm like, okay, let me see how this goes. And for that first act, probably the first half, I was kind of getting bored by the movie. I'm like, I see where it wants to go, but it's taking forever to get there. And then you get to that certain point, and I think that's when the movie kind of turns around. It's the same point you were talking about.
What's that?
With Jesse
Clemens?
Jesse Clemens. Yeah. When he comes in, I think the movie completely turns around. And to me, it became one of my favorite movies that I've seen of the year. But what stood out the most for me was the characters and how well I felt like they were done, and how invested I was into the characters. Also, the action was really, really done well, especially for an A24 film. I thought
it was one of their most expensive films, I think.
Had to be. I think the budget was $50 million for this one. So the action was really done well, and like you said earlier, man, what really drew me in the most was the sound. It's been a minute since I've seen a movie that goddamn loud, and it worked. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm probably gonna give this probably a full price. But it does have a lot of problems that came with it. But I still enjoyed it.
No, I enjoyed it too. If I had to, because giving it a matinee makes people think that I'm not recommending it or being down on it. I give it a high matinee. I think it is one of the most powerful films of the year. I'd recommend people see it.
See it in IMAX if you don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, it just didn't. It was a little predictable for me with the parts I was telling you about, with the parts with the horrible people doing horrible things. But that's probably because I see a lot of movies. It might work for some other people out there, And if they did take a stance on being political with anything, then people would be all over this movie. So they had no choice but to be, apolitical with this. But I think I would recommend this to people, man. If I was to sum it up, I think it's a great war film with a unique twist that they really don't take advantage of. I thought they could do a little bit more with it, but I really did like it. But definitely, like I said, I just like the second half much more than the first half. So, and
I wonder how this movie's gonna work with this coming out during an election year and all.
I don't think I don't. It's so,
but yeah, it's so neutral though. Yes,
nobody. Fox can't come in and say shit. CNN can't come in and use it against somebody. It's like it's
too neutral. You can't.
No, you can't do anything with it. I mean, Fox was ready too. Fox was like, yeah.
Oh, they'll find an angle.
Yeah, they'll find something. Well, you made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like what we do. So if you do, check out these other videos just like this one. Check out our other YouTube channels and subscribe to join our wonderful Toasty community. And as always, stay toasty.